Support for this podcast comes from Amazon Studios presenting Being the Ricardos. Lucille Ball, Nicole Kidman, and Desi Arnaz, Javier Bardem, are threatened by shocking personal accusations, a political smear, and cultural taboos in Academy Award-winning writer and director Aaron Sorkin's behind-the-scenes drama, Being the Ricardos. A revealing glimpse into the couple's complex romantic and professional relationship, the film takes audiences into the writer's room, onto the soundstage, and behind closed doors with Ball and Arnaz during one critical production week of their groundbreaking sitcom, I Love Lucy. Featuring J.K. Simmons, Nina Arianda, Aaliyah Shawkat, Tony Hale, Jake Lacey, Linda Lavin, Ronnie Cox, and John Rubinstein, now nominated for 3 Critics' Choice Awards for Best Original Screenplay, Aaron Sorkin, Best Actress, Nicole Kidman, and Best Supporting Actor, J.K. Simmons. Variety raves the film is intoxicating, a beautiful illustration of Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. Being the Ricardos is streaming now on Prime Video. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the AwardsWatch Oscar Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Anderson. This is podcast number 85, and we're going to be talking about Screen Actors Guild, the SAG nomination predictions. And when I say we, it's because I have two, not one, but two special guests with me today. I have the Oscar expert and brother, bro. Hi, guys.
Good evening.
Good evening. We're happy to be here for the 85th special episode special. And congratulations on 85 episodes.
I know. It's also my age, so it's a really, really special day for me. We're gonna talk about Screen Actors Guild. We have our Oscar shortlist, which is really cool, and it's the first bit of information that we have from actual Oscar voters, real industry voters, since we've had all of our Golden Globe nominations and Critics' Choice nominations and Critics Awards and all that. And those are all a part of the big puzzle, but none of those people are voters. We got to get to the real deal. And so we're going to jump right to Screen Actors Guild talk. And I don't know if you guys are prepared or want to talk about Stunt Ensemble. Do you want to? Do you have predictions for that?
Yeah, I have something. I have something there. Yeah.
Good. Then let's start there.
Of course he does.
Let's start. Yeah, exactly. Let's start there. I feel like there's some weirdly obvious choices, but still a lot of possibility because we do get thrown a few loops here. And so I'm looking at like Dune, The Harder They Fall, Matrix, maybe No Time to Die, and Shang-Chi is kind of where I'm at.
Okay, so I have to put in Matrix. I forgot about that one. But so one thing that I noticed like the last couple years is they put in like Joker and like Irishman and these Best Picture movies that don't have that many stunts. So I was thinking like Belfast, because of the riot scenes, like they would just be like, oh yeah, that's enough.
Jesus Christ, Cole.
That's not that. No, I swear to God, they would really. Yeah.
If Belfast gets a SAG nomination for Stunt Ensemble, we can just stop our predictions entirely because the race will be really done then.
Yeah. I mean,
but Joker and Irishman, I'm actually curious how those would be explained. Because someone explain
that's
that
what
to
I'm
me,
saying.
So
exactly.
is it permissible to be like, let's just throw in like a Best Picture movie?
No, I think you bring up a good point in that it's not always the most obvious, action film choices that are in this category, which is still a relatively new category in the grand scheme of things. 7. Yeah, well, I mean, that had riots, and even Joker had, street riots and stuff like that too, where you had a lot of people, whatever it is. But
Fair, yes.
But yeah, then I look at potential, cast ensemble and Best Picture possibilities, and I'm like, what would even get in here? I mean, Mass obviously should be in the stunt ensemble category, but it's probably going to get snubbed.
But yeah, but Jason Isaacs throws the table at Andowed.
I'm telling you, it was, she deserved it though. But so what about maybe something weird like Don't Look Up? Would that have?
I can't even. I mean, honestly, sure. Because I'm also looking at News of the World, and I'm like, he jumped off the carriage. Like that's literally all I can think of. And so
it's so confusing.
I mean, West Side Story maybe, but I don't know if there's like stunts as much as like dance choreography, and I don't know, maybe.
Well, there's a lot to talk about West Side Story and SAG. Maybe
agree. I was
in a little bit, but. Yeah, then I mean everything, all of this. I just start, I look at what screeners the SAG Nomcom actually got, and that's going to go through for all these categories. So there's like Suicide Squad, or something weird like the Many Saints of Newark, might just pop up, or the Tomorrow War. There's all kinds of things that like they won't make sense until they make sense.
Yeah, and like I don't know if they're gonna do like 1 or 2 Marvel movies. I mean, Shang-Chi seems most likely.
Yeah,
but, I think there's Black Widow. Oh, No Time to Die. I just remembered.
Yeah, that I have on, and I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start with what's likely first. Like, So Dune, right? You gotta have on Dune.
Yeah, that's what I said. I have Dune, Harder They Fall, Matrix, No Time to Die, and Shang-Chi.
Okay,
that's what I've got.
Those
are good picks. And I think Harder They Fall has a good case because not only did they nominate News of the World, they nominated Ballad of Buster Scruggs for stunts. I mean, that had some like funny slapstick stuff going on, I guess, but I guess I wouldn't be surprised to see it show up there.
Probably a carriage jump in there too.
Well, it's not just that, it's also a Netflix film, and Netflix is always going to do extremely well with SAG because of the accessibility of their films versus other studios who don't make things as accessible.
Oh, I just remembered. Remember when Cody Smith McPhee falls off the horse?
Oh, see?
Totally throw Power of the Dog in there.
There you go.
It'd be interesting trying to cast his stunt double. Like just really like a really like lanky, like skinny stunt double.
Actually, what I heard is that there was a SAG union praying mantis, and they just put him into a pair of jeans and a cowboy hat. It worked really well.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. That's probably a lot of time spent on stunt ensemble, unless we're like maybe looking at something else. I don't know. Maybe The Last Duel. I don't know. I just don't.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. That's a good point, too. What do you think about West Side Story? I forget if you had that in there. Sorry.
I don't, and it was going to be it still can, because it's going to be a factor in our conversation this entire
that's right
podcast, just about its visibility to the SAG Nomcom. And actually, let's go right to the category where it's going to have the most potential to either happen or not happen, and that is female actor in a supporting role. Because what we're sort of alluding to here is that the Screen Actors Guild nomination committee, which is generally about 2,000 to 2,500 random people of the 160,000 SAG-AFTRA members, do not have a screener for the film already. Still at this late stage of SAG voting, not a physical screener and not a digital screener. And it's odd because 20th Century Studios has gotten that screener to all other guilds. It's at DGA, PGA. It's all over the place. But why not SAG? It's kind of strange. I don't get it. And obviously, the most impacted by that would be Ariana DeBose in supporting actress, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly the other examples, but I think there have been some times where not getting the screener out has impacted a movie getting into most categories. But if it was like super duper locked into one, it would maybe still stay in. And I think I will maybe
American Hustle an example of that.
American Hustle, I think, got ensemble and supporting actress, but I don't know, Eric, if you remember if that was like one of the ones that got it out late or never.
It was very late, but the most obvious example would be Regina King in If Beale Street Could Talk, because she did not get a SAG nomination, and that was a late screener, and it ultimately didn't matter. But this is and using her as a comparison for this is good because at this point in the race, she had already gobbled up so many wins, so many critics wins, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter because enough of people in the nomination committee still hadn't seen the film. And I feel like that fate is also going to happen to Ariana DeBose, who has sort of become the critics' leader in supporting actress now. But if people haven't seen it, they haven't seen it. And we know from the box office, it's not a widely seen film either. So I am not predicting her in here, and it's a bit of a risk. I just took her out yesterday for these predictions because I really had to look at all of the other films that have had early screeners to this committee. And, a lot of people make early decisions too. So I just feel like it's going to be one of those surprise misses that isn't really a surprise when you have a reason for it.
Yeah, that would be the only reason she'd miss. And I think she would still do well at the Oscars. It would be, that'd be exactly like a Regina King scenario. I don't think I could take her out because even if a smaller fraction of the voting body has seen it, I feel like she's so strong that they would still have enough votes for her.
It's like a little more high profile than I think it needs less like pushing in front of their face than a movie like Beale Street a little bit. So,
but it's still a good point though that a lot of people are still reluctant to go to theaters to see their movies, and that there's the visibility on even a film like West Side Story is not as good as it would normally be.
I was almost like, before I heard that West Side Story missed the screeners, I was like maybe gonna even predict Rita Moreno, but now I'm gonna be like probably just DeBose. Maybe I'll just predict that one, and then I would have done on
I might predict like a kind of skimpy turnout, like just DeBose. I'll probably end up going with that.
And that's kind of what I had done before too. But it's a good point that obviously West Side Story was more seen than Beale Street. And we could even have a weird American Hustle style so that it's only ensemble and supporting actress. That could absolutely happen here.
Yeah.
But it's also a pretty juicy category that feels like it's going to be pretty close to the Critics' Choice and Globe nominations that we have.
It's a really stacked category, and someone's going to have to get snubbed, and it's going to be difficult to swallow whoever that is.
Yes. Well, I'm going to throw it to you guys for what your predictions are for this then.
Yeah.
Well, we'll keep DeBose in, then, we're going with like the obvious other three: Katrina Balfe, Ingenue Ellis, Kirsten Dunst. I have no reason to think that they would miss. And then the fifth slot, like, I honestly don't know yet. I mean, because there's Ruth Negga in Passing and Ann Dowd in Mass are like possible. Those movies are a little bit more indie, but I think Mass in particular has gotten its terrible looking screeners out to everybody very early. And then there's like the possibility of a Marlee Matlin or a Judi Dench showing up who has not yet done it. So I don't know. I might have to go with Marlee Matlin because the movie's a little bit more popular than like Passing and Mass, and the SAGs are a little bit populist, right? I mean, maybe.
Yeah,
they are. They can be, but then they have weird, crazy nominations like the Sarah Silverman. But you totally just like listed what my top 5 without DeBose are.
Oh boy! Really?
Oh, you have Judi Dench and Belfast?
I have Judi Dench and Marlee Matlin getting in.
What? Wait. Oh, right. Because without DeBose, wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Huh? Because Marlee Matlin, I've been shocked that she's missed where Coda has succeeded.
Isn't it crazy?
Like really surprising. But it shows the category is very competitive. Definitely.
Yes.
And what do you think about Mass? Because there's been like where they have screened it, I feel like it's gone well, but it's just still such an uphill climb to get that movie seen.
It is, but at the same time, I mean, any of us know that Ann Dowd is the pick from the film if you're going to support it. So I think she's really, really close because like you guys, I think Balfe, Dunst, and Ellis they're locked in, and it's the other 2 spots that are really open. And those spots are open for a lot of people. they're definitely open for Ann Dowd. I have this weird feeling of a strange nomination showing up here, like Viola Davis for the Unforgivable.
I was going to suggest that. I was going to suggest that because I know they got the screeners for that one.
Yes.
And
or Sandra Bullock in lead. Like,
I'm telling you,
that it smells like it. It does look like it at a distance, you know.
It would. I will not be surprised if either of those happen at all. Again, Netflix visibility. I mean, Viola Davis has like 215 SAG nominations, TV and film. She's a winner. She just won lead last year. I mean, she is a high priority person with even, randomly selected groupings of SAG. So I'm not pretending for a moment that she is not possible in this slightly open category.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, of your picks, I'm the most skeptical of Judi Dench in Belfast because I definitely, when I saw the movie, I was like, that could happen and I wouldn't be happy, but it could happen. But she has not really been coming along, and it's been like consistently the three actors without her.
Yes, no, you're absolutely right. Which is why I don't feel comfortable with Dench or Madeline at all.
Okay,
it could go a lot of ways, but I mean, there could be both Moreno and DeBose if we're wrong and West Side Story really plays well.
Yeah.
Ruth Negga, obviously, like you said, is a major force here as well. Again, also Netflix visibility is there. I have kind of stopped, thankfully, considering Meryl Streep pretty much anywhere, but she was never she was never more than I think like number 8 or something, no 7 or 8 in like any predictions I've ever done for this category.
That's good. But you never gave in.
Yeah, no. I mean, people were crazy. We're like, of course she's Meryl Streep. She's going to get in. She's top 5. I'm like, is she though? She's not.
After I saw the movie, I was like, I might put her in my top 5. And I think she still didn't crack it because it was very crowded. But then like seeing the reception, this was like before the reviews, and seeing that none of the actors are even getting in. That's like, oh shit. None of the actors from that movie are getting nominated. What?
After seeing the movie, I felt even less like she'd get in because she's doesn't do anything. She's like, it's the most boring Meryl Streep performance I think she's ever given. But that's whatever. You can't deny though that she's the most nominated female actor in SAG, but she only has 1 supporting. Cate Blanchett has 14 nominations, 4 in supporting. Judi Dench has 13, 3 in supporting. And I start looking at those kind of things and I think, where are they going to break out, to somebody new, and where are they going to just be name checking some people? It's tough.
Yeah, that is how, we're not here yet, but I guess that is a way that I could see like DiCaprio squeeze in, is because everyone just loves DiCaprio. And that would be strange. Because there seems to be, I don't know, we'll get to that, I guess, but.
We can actually get to it right now because I wanted to go to lead actor next, and DiCaprio is the most nominated male actor with 11 nominations. He's tied with Russell Crowe. So that would be a total possibility here. But I feel like the SAG 5 is going to be the Oscar 5, just like last year. They went 5 for 5 last year.
Yeah, it's getting pretty tight.
It is.
There's a lot of heavyweights in here.
It is, and there's also some early screeners. Jockey was a very early screener. There's possibilities, but I'm gonna stick with what I feel like is the Oscar 5 in the moment, and it's Benedict Cumberbatch, Peter Dinklage, Andrew Garfield, Will Smith, and Denzel Washington.
Yeah, another reason that it seems like even more like the SAG seems like they'd really do this 5 because they will nominate Peter Dinklage. Like that seems like they're going to, because they nominated him for, what was it, the Station Agent?
Way before anybody knew who he was.
Yeah. So I feel like they're going to be on his side, like no matter what. And then Denzel Washington is like also on top of his amazing performance, a name check for them. So I don't know. That'd be crazy if they snubbed anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still have Will Smith at number 1?
I do. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Although I feel like the space between 1 and 2 is getting smaller.
Yeah,
definitely.
We're feeling that too. Because Cumberbatch is just sweeping these critic awards.
I can't say I didn't really see that coming. I didn't think that is who I didn't see Cody Smith-McPhee being the overwhelming supporting actor. I'm glad for it. I think it's awesome, but it was a little bit of a surprise, and I'm not mad at it at all because I love Cumberbatch.
I would have expected, like, I think we were thinking that Cumberbatch would get a lot of critics awards, but not this many.
Mm-hmm.
And the critics circles have really fallen in line, like giving him the actor and then Cody Smith McPhee the supporting actor like across the board is confusing. I understand picking up some awards is cool, but yeah, it's surprising actually. I thought Will Smith would be winning more awards.
It's like too unanimous. I don't like when the critics awards get like so in line with each other. Like I expected that Power of the Dog would be like out front in some categories, but seeing other performances have like only 1 or 2 wins and then somebody's got like 15, it's just, there are other like good performances to give awards to. I don't know.
There is. I mean, I wish Nicolas Cage was the leader in critics awards. He's gotten a couple and I'm glad for that, but
yeah,
it's so we mentioned Leonardo DiCaprio for Don't Look Up here, who I think is, if I'm looking at my list, my 5 as the 5, he would be easily number 6 for me.
Oh, okay. So, what about Mahershala Ali and Swan Song?
I don't really have a spot for him here, honestly, because when I look at Joaquin Phoenix, Clifton Collins Jr., Javier Bardem, even it would be
really hot. So you think hot? Okay,
it'd be low.
Who you mentioned, I don't think have good chances. Like Joaquin Phoenix. To not do well with critics in that performance, I don't see that. Like, I don't see
he
how
couldn't even get a Spirit Award nomination, which is crazy. But Cage didn't get a Spirit Award nomination either.
Cage is doing decently. Like he's getting a lot of nominations.
He's getting wins too.
He's doing okay. Well, what is your guys' 5 look like?
That's our 5 though. We have the same 5.
Yeah, I have the same 5 and the 5 for the Oscar. My 6 is different. I might say like DiCaprio at 6, but at the Oscar, I right now I have Cage at 6, but I guess if DiCaprio looks surprised, he might be. I don't know.
I would love to see it. I would love to see that.
I'm curious if Mahershala Ali, like if Swan Song is screening a lot.
I can't say.
I wonder if he could get in.
I can't say I've heard anything really, and the Globe nomination was itself a pretty big surprise. Yeah, but it's also the kind of thing where once you have a nomination and maybe you weren't on a voter's radar, that puts them on your radar of feeling like, okay, maybe I do need to check that out, at least check it out rather than just dismiss it entirely.
Yeah, it also just makes me wonder, like, are they going hard? But I haven't looked at it. I don't really know. I'm not going to predict Phoenix for anything, honestly, because it's just been like, it's just a non-starter. It's just so strange.
It's bizarre to me, honestly.
And Clifton Collins Jr., he hasn't received like, well, I mean, there haven't been a lot of nominations yet. So I guess that remains to be seen whether he can like scoop up something, but.
Yeah, I think he would have had to have a stronger, earlier start to be able to have really gotten in
like
here.
Like a Nicolas Cage and Pig, I think.
Even more than that, honestly, because he is a veteran who's worked with everybody, but he's never been in the awards conversation. So he would have had to had a stronger push both by Sony Pictures Classics and from critics, but. The movie is a last week of December release, and it played a few festivals. He got a few, festival awards, but it's not enough. It hasn't been enough.
Yeah.
And Peter Dinklage very easily and quickly overtook him as the first time Best Actor nominee slot.
Yeah.
Quite easily. So
easy 5, easy Dinklage.
It does feel like an easy 5, and that's the kind of thing that just always makes me it makes me wonder, like, nothing is ever easy. Nothing's ever as easy as we think that it is. But
yeah, it's a little scary.
I mean, going 5 for 5 last year and this year. Yeah. It just,
I mean, at least like one of the categories is going to be like a 5 out of 5.
So who is, let's ask each other this question then. If we're all 5 for 5 with this, who is 5? Who is the most vulnerable of this 5?
I think maybe Denzel Washington.
Damn it. Yeah, me too.
Which is like, it's been weird to say, but like the movie, I mean, I think it just came out. I don't know what their screener deal is, but he has weirdly been, I think, ranked 6 in the Critics Awards behind Cage. And it's like, I don't know if that's because voters aren't eating up the movie, or it's also because the movie is kind of a late bloomer, or a combination of the two. I mean, I know you still have Macbeth in your Best Picture. We've given up on it.
Oh, I've gone back and forth. I dropped it and then I put it back, and I just don't know what to do. The number 9 and 10 spot in Best Picture for me is, I'm like biting my nails and pulling my hair.
Yeah, I mean, Denzel's like, I would have expected him to pick up more awards at this point. It's a little bit strange.
It is, but like we said, Cumberbatch just completely has dominated that and has not left much on the table for anybody else. A few stray wins for Garfield and Cage. And I mean, I want to put Cage in here. I want him to actually get in, but I don't know.
Yeah, he's just like the Adam Sandler Uncut Gems, Ethan Hawke first reformed. Like, you get a little excited because he's winning.
Always
stuff,
the one that's disappointing.
Yeah, exactly. And again, missing something like a Spirit Award nomination, which never should have happened, is just like, okay. I guess
the Spirits were like, they were totally unwilling to like mimic the Oscars this year, and normally with their wins, and they go with like the person who's the front runner for the Oscar, and they don't even have a lot of nominees in there.
And it's really
interesting what they do.
It's extremely ironic that is the case, because they moved their awards into March instead of the day before the Oscars, which was very intentional to be before the voting period for the Academy Awards. So their intent was very clear, that they want to be a part of the race rather than outside of it, which has been kind of their whole entire mantra since they began. But it doesn't take a genius to look at a decade's worth of Best Picture winners and see how independent they've gone and how much like the Spirit Awards they can be. So it's a very strange situation that this year's nominations for the Spirits were so not Oscar-y in so many ways.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool if they want to go that way, but like, they didn't even nominate Olivia Colman, right?
No.
I mean, it's so different from like a couple of years ago. I mean, I don't even know what to think of it. They're like more like the Gothams.
It is. I mean, even Glenn Close got her Spirit Award nomination for The Wife because they just thought that that's how it was going to go. But yeah, it's weird. It's very weird. Let's jump over to a male actor in a supporting role. And before we do that, let's have a brief word from our sponsor for the podcast. Support for this podcast also comes from Amazon Studios' The Tender Bar, which tells the story of J.R., Ty Sheridan, fatherless boy growing up in the glow of a bar where the bartender, his Uncle Charlie, Ben Affleck, is the sharpest and most colorful of an assortment of quirky father figures. As the boy's determined mother, Lily Rabe, struggles to provide her son with opportunities denied to her and leave the dilapidated home of her outrageous, if begrudgingly supportive father, Christopher Lloyd, J.R. begins to gamely, if not always gracefully, pursue his romantic and professional dreams with one foot persistently placed in Uncle Charlie's bar. The Tender Bar is based on the best-selling memoir of the same name by J.R. Moehringer. The Los Angeles Times calls it a nostalgic coming-of-age drama lovingly directed by George Clooney. Affleck has never been better. The Tender Bar is in theaters now and streaming January 7th on Prime Video. Okay, and we are back. And this category is kind of driving me crazy too. like most of these categories, I feel great about Cody Smith-McPhee, and kind of that's it. I think there's a lot that's possible. Troy
The
Kotsur.
Belfast boys, no.
I have both of them in. I have both Jamie Dornan and Kieran Hines in. You know, they're getting everything.
I think at this point,
they're getting everything.
Have to have Kotzer in there.
And I have Troy Kotsur in as well. And it's a very strange thing, as we were talking about Marlee Matlin earlier, because I think a lot of us expected her to be the acting representation of the film if anybody were to get in. She's basically been campaigning since the last Oscars. Yeah. And obviously a return to Oscar for her would be a wonderful narrative. Yet she's not shown up anywhere. It's all been Troy Kotsur, which is great. He has the most sympathetic role, and every single review and person that has seen it, he is the person that they pull out that they want to talk about. So it's great that he is at this point. And I think he's in too. I have one crazy nomination, but it's not really that crazy. But I'm not going to tell you yet.
Oh, you're going to wait for us to bring it up?
I want to guess it, actually. That's what I want to do.
All right. All right, I'll let you try and guess it.
I don't know if it'd be, maybe it's not even it's probably not even on the list I'm looking at right now. Could it be, I don't think this is crazy. No, J.K. Simmons isn't crazy.
I don't think we have anyone who's crazy on this list.
No, it's not even crazy. It's just like, it feels like, oh, all right, this is going to be sort of a setup of person who gets this, and this, and then misses an Oscar nomination.
I think I'm stumped. I'm not sure.
I know. It's so I'm actually thinking that Ben Affleck might get in for the Tender Bar, like he did for the Globes.
Yeah. It could be.
It's not impossible. It's an outside shot, but I'm thinking about it. I'm stewing on it right now.
Stewing, you should be.
Yes. Yes.
Sure.
I think it's worth having in your stew.
Yeah,
I think
one of you. So I see that you do not have Mr. Leto in House of Gucci.
I don't. I have him just outside though, like just outside.
It's scary. It is. It's pretty
scary. I don't know.
You think that this would be like the place he's most likely to get it in a way? I mean, this is where Amy Adams got in.
I think Golden Globes might be the most.
This is where Amy Adams got in for Hillbilly Elegy. You think Golden Globes, but it didn't happen. But
I could see them. I could see it happening. Could and we have it at number 5 right now.
Yeah.
That makes
like the default 5.
Yeah, it's kind of an easy, safe 5 actually. To have him in 5 is kind of safe. But I know the SAGs don't necessarily play it safe, so it's not like we think that's going to happen 5 for 5.
He would definitely be my 6.
We just discussed are pretty hard to negotiate in comparison to everything else.
I think so.
I mean, maybe somebody misses, like maybe there's a random Belfast boy miss, but it's hard to say someone else is more competitive than they are.
Yeah,
they've gotten everywhere.
Yes,
ridiculous.
and I think that, and we'll talk about it in the cast ensemble category, because I always look at how many. There's only so many categories that SAG has for motion picture. And how many nominations can one film possibly get? Because the threshold that we've seen before is 5. And again, we'll get to that in a little bit. So I start looking at how many is Power of the Dog going to get? How many is Belfast going to get below, And then when you threw Belfast out for Stunt Ensemble, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I wasn't even thinking about that. How could it possibly get 6? Exactly.
It would break the record, yeah.
It would break the record. And obviously that could happen at some point, but it's like everybody would be scratching their heads going, this is the movie that did it? I don't know. I don't know.
Already scratching my head with that one.
Yes. I think this is a funny category because I don't feel like there's a whole lot of potential outside of the ones that we mentioned. J.K. Simmons, Jesse Plemons, maybe, if Power of the Dog is that crazy.
I don't think Jesse Plemons would get in because McPhee's really strong. He was honestly didn't really do much in the movie and he disappears.
I think he was really good.
I think he was
had a couple good scenes.
outstanding. I thought he was great. And
I don't see the
I'm
nomination.
low key possibly going to be putting Jesse Plemons close to my top 5 Oscar picks soon.
Wow.
It's all the Dallas
But okay, not
it's the
even
Dallas
the-
Fort Worth critics' fault. It's all their fault because they are weirdly great oracles for supporting nominations that you kind of don't see coming.
Really?
And they have both Ben Affleck and Jesse Plemons made their top 5.
Huh,
So
okay.
that really just
I was
knocked
just
me
gonna
out of my
say
chair.
that the power of the dog circle jerk between the critics groups it has not been including Jesse Plemons.
No,
For the most part, yeah.
But that's why it can be a weird surprise. It's not going to be like 3 Billboards where Woody Harrelson mostly got in where Sam Rockwell did. But I think it could happen. Maybe. I'm just saying maybe.
I will throw out
Sure.
some of my potentials.
Okay.
I do think J.K. Simmons could happen. I think you might reject this, but I think Robin de Jesus is possible for Tick Tick Boom. That is one movie that a lot of people who I know who have like talked to SAG voters, like they say that the SAG voters are always talking about Tick Tick Boom and they're talking about like Robin de Jesus. And if any place is gonna love that, it could be, SAG or something. It's a little bit hope dicting. I mean, I don't have it in my 5 because, but I just think that's
maybe if anywhere because it's such a film that appeals to theater people,
actors.
Yes, and I mean, if you follow Awards Watch, you will have seen or listened to my interview with Robin de Jesus just before the holidays, and he is wonderful and amazing and charming, and I love him, and I would love for that to happen. I would love for it to happen. He's got a shockingly small amount of screen time in the film once it's broken down. I think it's 14 minutes. 2.5 of those are songs, 3 of those are songs, which was less than I thought. I didn't after I rewatched really it. Yeah, it's less. It's less than I thought. I love that. I love that possible long shot pick. I would love for it to happen. Yeah. And I'm not saying that I officially have Ben Affleck, and I'm just sort of toying with that as a weird how is this going to happen choice. Last year,
I agree. I would have him in my top 10. I think
last year SAG went 3 for 5 with Oscar. They had Chadwick Boseman in for Defy Bloods, which was a movie that did really well with SAG, and then ghosted at the Oscars outside of score. And then, of course, Jared Leto, after getting his Globe and SAG noms for The Little Things, got blanked. And that was for Paul Raci, who was kind of a surprise snub here in the sense that he was going hand in hand with Riz Ahmed all the way through, missed here. And then, of course, the Lakeith Stanfield of it all, which is going to, throw every single prediction that everybody has for the next 25 years.
Yeah, so in the face of
Ben Affleck and Jared Leto last year seems like that's a little bit similar in a way.
That's why I'm going with it.
Yeah, I can understand it. I think that makes sense too. And he was, the other one, I mean, Mike Faced I would have considered more, but then the West Side Story thing. What do we think about like the Bernthal has just not been a thing? Like a lot of people thought he would. I was resistant to it, but I actually had him in at one point, and it just like everyone just said nope.
I really would have loved that, or I would love that, I should say. He has that one critics win, so good for him. Oh, yeah. But maybe, I mean, I would love it. I think he's great in it. But the film would have to be a pretty major performer, I think, for that to happen.
I think it'll get. I might be predicting it for 3 others here.
Oh no, I'm definitely gonna have it for. I definitely have it for 3.
Okay, yeah.
But I wonder about this interesting late surge for Jeffrey Wright in The French Dispatch, but I'm not looking at it as any type of realistic oracle in any way, because nobody has ever gotten in for a Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah, it's weird because I remember at Cannes, everyone was like, Benicio del Toro is the best performance in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and now it's like Jeffrey Wright, and I don't really get it. I don't really get it that much, but I mean, the critics can have at it if they want to. I don't know.
He has a couple of wins, and they're just sort of surprising. But I don't want to look at that and think too much into it. Even though I can look at something like Ben Affleck getting a Golden Globe nomination and look too much into that. I guess it's picking and choosing how that works, how you think about that. Yeah.
And just to remark, Bradley Cooper's Licorice Pizza run has been hilarious. Just hilarious. People hyping him up and saying, even after the film premiered, knowing that he has 1-2 scenes that are he's barely in.
One scene.
And people even after that saying, because we were having a hard time imagining who could win, saying, oh, he still might win because give him an overdue Oscar. And then nobody has bitten that thing. No one has gotten near it.
He has like 3 nominations.
Because I understand, because why would, no one wants to vote for that performance because it's not like someone's favorite performance of the year.
Yes. And, and again, anyone that follows me knows that I had Bradley Cooper at number 1 for months and months and months. And
yeah, we did early on. Yeah.
And then I did see the movie and realized that 90% of his performance is in the trailer. And I was like, you know what? If you had maybe just 1 or 2 more scenes or just a little bit more, then maybe we could justify it. He has that one bizarre critics win from Atlanta. I don't know what they were smoking. But it not here. I mean, I don't think Licorice Pizza is going to factor here at all in any way.
Nah.
Yeah,
but
same.
But okay. With that, let's pop over to lead actress, because it's obviously my favorite category. Always, this is killing me, this category, because I feel like it could go many, many ways. And there
I feel like there's like an obvious way it could go.
Yes.
And then there's, I might be just predicting the obvious one for now, but I'm curious what you're toying with.
My obvious 5 are Chastain, Coleman, Kidman, Gaga, and Stewart.
In that order? 5.
And that feels almost too easy, because I know Penelope Cruz is going to factor in here. I think Frances McDormand pretty clearly has not been lockstep with Denzel Washington here anywhere so far. So I don't think that would happen. If anything, the Oscars would throw another curveball and nominate her in supporting. Tessa Thompson, maybe. If Jennifer Hudson can have some type of resurgence, maybe, but she couldn't have one at the Globes. And this is the Globe 5 in drama, I believe.
Jesus. Yeah, and it's all Critics' Choice nominees too.
Yeah, and I mean, again, the only ones that I feel like would really have a big shot of breaking through that would be somebody like a Rachel Zegler, but we don't know what the status of West Side Story is going to be with voters.
I'm remembering, I think it was like 2007 or something, where the same 5 got nominated at like all 4 major precursors or something.
And that does happen.
That could they could be on their way. I mean, this 5. I think Kidman is probably especially strong here, more so than like she is for the. Well, no, it's not going to happen with the BAFTA. No way, not this year. But everywhere else maybe.
But I mean,
I feel like Alana Haim, I'm not going to bite that.
No, I'm not going to at all. Not for a moment.
I think she could be 6 at the Oscars maybe, but I'm not going to bite her here.
Yeah.
Zegler, we can't really go too deep into West Side Story. I agree, maybe Jennifer Hudson or Penelope Cruz are the 2 biggest threats, unless there's a Sandra Bullock in The Unforgiven or a Halle Berry in Bruised kind of surprise.
Yeah, I know Clayton at Variety is, at least as of whatever now, has Halle Berry at number 5 for SAG.
Wow.
Which I think that could be possible.
And again, this is the Netflix impact with this, which is so imbalanced with other guilds and other groups, because again, the accessibility is so high. So something like Halle Berry or Sandra Bullock getting in makes total sense. Viola Davis winning SAG last year makes total sense, and then losing. It's just, yeah, I just think there's a big Netflix imbalance with how we see things, with how the race ends up being. Doesn't mean that SAG has to parrot or mirror the Oscars, but like you mentioned earlier, Cole, Amy Adams got in here. And I think, again, that's Netflix, and that is visibility, and Amy Adams is somebody who has missed SAG before and gotten into the Oscars. So I don't.
Makes you think about Ruth Negga again too.
It does.
That's
It makes
possible.
me think about her as a much easier chance to get in. It makes me think that Tessa Thompson has a better chance to get in than maybe I'm giving her. But who am I going to?
Sandra Bullock, of course.
Who am I going to drop?
Yeah,
from this five?
I won't be dropping anybody from here. Like, I don't think you can make a better case for your top five.
I have, like, at 5, I have Olivia Colman, just because, like, maybe that's less of like their thing, but again, it's also Netflix, and her making the Globe was a slightly surprising to me. But I don't know.
It wasn't too surprising.
She's not going anywhere.
Since Maggie Gyllenhaal made director, it wasn't too much of a surprise.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But yeah, if it's not this 5, and I kind of hope it's not. I want to have a slightly interesting race, because that would mean that we could be looking at the SAG 5 for actor and actress repeating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's not that common. It's not that common. I wonder.
We had a lot of overlap so far between Golden Globe and Critics' Choice, though, so it could be one of those years.
Yes, and I think the big difference this year, and why even though we're making a lot of safe picks, this could be a year of extremely unsafe SAG nominations, because they're a full month later than Critics' Choice and Golden Globes, which is not usually the case. They're usually all within the same week. So they have voted at the same time without being able to look at each other's notes. And now SAG has those two groups' nominees already out, and they can either decide to parrot it or go, no, we can finally make a decision based on that and not just our own whatever. I think there is potential for some crazy shit to happen.
Yikes.
That'd be fun.
I'm not predicting it, but I think it could happen. Who do I have winning what? Which category?
The actress category. For SAG.
Stewart's, I think, is going to take it all the way.
Okay.
She's going to run the whole thing.
You're not getting, like, a little bit skeptical about, like, the whole, Spencer being a little, like, weirding out people, not performing too well at performing very much underperforming at Critics' Choice.
No, I don't. I feel fine about it. I know it's not going to play the same way that, like, Black Swan did for Natalie Portman, which got tons of nominations. It missed things it should have gotten in, but it got, Best Picture, and it got in where it needed to. I worry that Spencer won't. It'll get anywhere from 1 to 3 nominations, which is not great for it. But
yeah, no one else really has much to say about, like, their movie getting in there anyway. I mean, unless The Lost Daughter or whatever gets in. But
yeah, no, I feel Stewart has been one of those calls from the very beginning, that it just happens because it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And she's not going to hit any of the major critics. She missed LA for Cruise. She missed New York. She didn't get NBR. She's not going to get National Society of Film Critics. I think that's probably going to be like Penelope Cruz again. So I wonder.
Yeah. We're looking at Chasten, actually. Like, we think she might come up somewhere, but it might not happen. I don't know. It's hard to say for us.
So Cole, you said that Coleman is your most vulnerable here.
Yeah. I mean,
Justin, well, who is your who's your number 5 for SAG here?
Probably Coleman. Yeah.
I have to feel that's very possible too. It's hard to discount Kidman. She has a great SAG track record.
Yeah.
I mean, for things that she doesn't even get into the Oscars for, they dig her. I still think that Paperboy nomination is one of the greatest of all time, and she should have gotten it. But yeah, so I feel like she's pretty safe. Jessica Chastain feels super safe, and there's nobody trying harder except for Lady Gaga to get this nomination.
Yeah, I saw the Christmas thing that she tweeted.
Lord, baby.
That was great.
Jesus, that was a lot. That was pretty funny.
I'm like, we kind of think that Chastain might present a challenge to Stewart somewhere along the trail. Maybe not Critics' Choice, maybe not BAFTA, but like, maybe the SAG is her best bet at shaking something up. I know the movie like had a box office problem, but I mean, if it can kill it with the screeners and it's got good studio behind it, I mean, she could maybe surprise.
Yeah, it's weird. Chastain feels either like a number 2 or a number 5 for me.
I kind of agree, which is weird because
she's been showing up with critics where
she's won. She's got a couple of wins. She's
doing well.
there. She's doing just fine.
I think
kind of the same way.
I wasn't sure she was the 5 or the 2 for a while, but then the critics not leaving her out of nominations made me think, okay, she's pretty solidly in there.
Yeah. Lady Gaga's New York win was kind of the thing that threw everybody so hard because
we're watching out. Like maybe she takes something somewhere. I don't think she'd get the Oscar, but we're a little scared that she'd get like a Golden Globe or a SAG.
I don't know. I don't buy that. I don't feel like that's.
We're not going to predict it, but
yeah, because I mean she's still on the lower. She's still 4 or 5 for me in this race.
Okay, I don't know. I think it's been surprising to me because after I saw Gucci, I was like, who knows? But I do think Lady Gaga is going to get in everywhere. Maybe not the BAFTAs this year.
I have it like 3.
I mean, she hasn't missed anywhere, so there's no reason to think that this crazy ass performance isn't going to just kind of keep going all the way. So it's liked, and all right, we're going to close then with the top award, which is the cast award for ensemble in a motion picture. And as we talked about a little bit earlier, looking at the history of this and how many movies can get multiple nominations, 5 is the record still. Only 3 movies have gotten 5 total nominations: Chicago, Doubt, and Shakespeare in Love. 2 of those won Best Picture at the Oscars, but Shakespeare in Love is the only one that actually won this award. Chicago did not. So we're looking at Belfast as the most obvious possibility to tie that or get 6, like you guys think it. No, you guys didn't think that because you don't have Judi Dench and watch it happen.
For stunts.
Watch it happen. I'm sure there was some Judi Dench stunt that I missed, but I don't know.
The part where she falls down the stairs.
Yes, that's right. That was her stunt double.
Gets run over by the bus.
That's in the director's cut. They didn't.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, the early test screening where they just ran her right over.
They put that back in the SAG screener just so they could get some votes.
This is tough.
Yeah, this is a really fun one. It is really fun because they always do something you don't expect. Actually, I think last year was more predictable than many years in that they didn't do a total long shot.
Last year was weird though because they picked the 5 that the critics were most keen on awarding, which almost itself was unpredictable because they usually never do that. And it almost feels nice to me that I can say that I can take out West Side Story. Yeah, because it makes it because I have so many things I want to put in, and I'm just going to be, I'm going to try to get ahead of the curve with the the screener problem on that one.
Yeah.
Which would have probably been my number 2, but
yeah, and whew, I'm looking at the nominees for last year that missed Best Picture, To Five Bloods and One Night in Miami, because
and Ma Rainey.
They went really, really heavy with black-led films last year, and Oscar said, yeah, not so much.
There have been a couple times, I remember, sometimes the SAGs are like kind of known for nominating films with like more diverse casts.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember people predicting like Dolomite for that reason.
Yeah.
And Hustlers too. And those like didn't happen. And it was like, oh, okay. But they nominated Parasite that year. So that was like unexpected too.
That year they only had, I mean, it's funny because like last year, they had 4 out of 5 of these films were like not white people dominated. The year before that, it was 4 out of 5 that were white people dominated. So it's kind of funny. I don't know if that's a trend or not. Like, it's hard to tell.
It's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that it changes year to year and that it's not trend based.
The years before were pretty not like all white casts. So I think 2019 it stands out as having a lot of that.
Yeah.
So,
well,
this year there's like King Richard, The Harder They Fall.
Yes, I have
more notable ones.
There's not a lot of diversity in movies this year, honestly, with the awards movies. So
there is not of the top end contenders that we're talking about for sure. Yeah. And I have both of those getting in here.
Same,
yeah.
And I also have Belfast and Coda getting in.
Yes,
but it's that 5 spot that it's really got me. I don't know what to do. But
I figured you would have Power of the Dog. I'm sure that's one of the ones you're toying with.
It is, but I'm also like, this is the one that kind of doesn't get the cast nomination, but it gets everything else. Yeah. Because we see that happen too.
The Favorite, The Shape of Water, like it's in Marriage Story,
Green Book, Marriage Story.
Mank, all those I really feel like that could be Power of the Dog.
Yep.
And so I have Don't Look Up right now.
So do I.
Oh my God.
Damn it.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that is my 5. Wow, that's crazy. I thought we were going to have a really different 5 because this category feels so much more fluid than like our lead actor and lead actress does.
I mean, it's an interesting 5 because, well, there's 4 Best Picture contenders there, and Harder They Fall is an interesting one to have in here, but I completely think it will get nominated because it's been doing so well. It's been winning the most ensemble awards.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that these are critics, but nonetheless, I think we see something going that strong wherever there's an ensemble category. Like I would probably predict it. And I thought even before I saw nominations that this would be a strong contender because it's the kind of movie they like to award where you can't pick out who's the best. And there's just, there's like, 3 supporting really strong performances of every gender. And it just feels like that this is the kind of movie that this category is for.
It also feels very Defy Bloods for me, and that's something that can do well and then gets, sound or score at the Oscars.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then King Richard, I feel less confident now than I did before. So I think before King Richard came out, and then when I saw it, I was like, that's a total lock for a SAG ensemble. And it's weirdly been absent from a couple of awards things where I'd expect them to nominate. Like, wasn't it not a Critics' Choice ensemble? And I know they don't overlap that much. I know that.
It only has 2 ensemble nominations from my count, which feels low.
Yeah, it just seemed like turning up less than it should. But I don't discount that completely.
It feels like that kind of movie.
It has a big cast. You don't think about it because you're so overwhelmed by Will Smith, but it has a really big cast, and it has of genders and ethnicities and races and all kinds of stuff. So I think it covers a lot of bases. Yeah. And it's also just an easy film to like and to support.
It's very likable.
And how confident do you feel about Coda? Because I feel like I mean, I don't think it's a lock by any means, but I feel like pretty good about it being in there. And like, there's something to be said about the fact that like the cast.
I feel very good.
They have really.
I actually feel very good about
it. Don't downplay it.
Well, I have it at 2, but I don't think anything's a lock. I mean, yeah,
I agree though. I think it would be a number 2.
Feels like the minority.
Given how well it's been doing, like, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a good narrative because so much of the cast is actually deaf. So and everybody blows you away in that movie. Like everybody does. So
it is interesting. There is, I think, Minari might be a pretty good comparison to that, but it is also feels like a movie that, because it had that weird August release and did not get to kind of collect momentum, that it's had to do it on its own with word of mouth, and it's done an extraordinary job of that.
I don't know how they pulled that off so strong.
Well, I heard
I was
Apple
skeptical
also,
right after Sundance. I didn't like we weren't predicting it until up until now, and we saw it at Sundance. Like, I don't know how they pulled that off.
Happens every year with something at Sundance, it seems.
I guess so.
Yeah. There is always one or two Sundance things that just kind of.
And we were thinking that they were killing their chances by not being at the festivals, and we were thinking like, oh, Coda and Mass, they're both not at the festivals, and then Coda is just like soaring. Mass is nowhere to be seen.
No, I mean, subject matter definitely is the case for that, but I still think Coda would be in a much better position had Apple done a festival run with it. Even put it in October, but let September and early October just be jammed full of festivals.
I feel like that movie is so likable that it was only a matter of like, if they campaign it to awards voters and like get the screenings out and like host the events like that, if they show it to people, like they will vote for it. I mean, my parents, like that was a no-brainer that it was going to be my mom's favorite of the nominees, and it is. Like,
yeah, I think it's their favorite movie we've recommended to them, and that always kind of means something.
Oh,
it's such a mom movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When we saw it, we were like, "Wow, Mom is gonna love this movie when she gets to see it," and she did.
I have a thing I just thought of that I'm gonna bring as a proposition.
Okay.
I'm not gonna predict it, but like Amelia Jones in Best Actress, like.
Oh yeah.
Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, it could be a crazy one.
Maybe. Yeah, I certainly wouldn't say no to it, because that category, like we said, and then like with actor, we feel so strongly about 5 that's where the cracks come in and crazy things happen.
Yeah.
So Power of the Dog, what are your thoughts about that? I mean, we kind of talked about that actually, that it could be one of those misses.
Could be. I mean, Belfast could be the one that happens to as well, where
I'd be shocked.
It has all I wouldn't be that shocked
with 3 nominations,
because it does.
That's happened though.
It happens all the time. It's bananas. It drives me crazy, but it happens.
I don't think that would miss.
But
here.
it's like a Jojo Rabbit thing, where like the kids at the center and then like all the adults. I don't know. I feel like it's got the formula down for it, like, and maybe just winning the category.
You know what's bizarre though? I mean, let's say West Side Story wasn't having screener issues. Would you have it in there? Because that has a crazy good cast
and a huge
maybe
one.
a weakling, but yeah.
I would probably have it in. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it's like a lock though, because I think the supporting performances are better than the lead performances, and I don't know how much people care about it. Like, it's actually really kind of hard to tell for me if that would get in with no screener issues.
I think so.
Predicting it.
I mean, if that was the case, it would still be like it would get into cast and supporting actress, and that's it.
So is that your number 6? Like Don't Look Up and then West Side Story? Or
no, I think Power of the Dog. Power of the Dog is my number 6.
That movie's been surprising me at how well it's been doing, like getting editing nominations, for example.
I'm not surprised that it's getting editing nominations so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think the Oscars like could be different, but I think it's.
I think there's even more room for Power of the Dog to surprise me, is what I would say. Like, I think it could show up somewhere like this.
It's like it won't be a surprise at all, and having it out of this 5 is killing me. It's driving me crazy, but it's probably because I can't let go of The Harder They Fall as the outlier that gets in here, but definitely is not going to be in Best Picture.
I feel like it's
I
also with Power of the Dog, outside of the 3 performances they're nominating, and then there's Jesse Plemons, and then there's like,
Yeah,
not,
you gotta search a little bit.
I mean, they've nominated like, I mean, it's not like Dallas Buyers Club or Theory of Everything had like more performances than you could count on your like. They had maybe like 3 good performances.
Yeah,
and they still got nominated. So I mean, they could, but
well, I mean, what was in Dallas Buyers Club's favor was the 2 wins that it was going to get. So that was just propelled by that. So what it, that might happen for Power of the Dog. What if Cumberbatch and Smith McPhee are going to be hand in hand and riding off into the sunset to the Dolby Theater?
Yeah, if it got an ensemble, I'd be like more raising an eyebrow that one of them could win.
Yeah. And I think we're looking at Don't Look Up being in because of its massive star power. But is that the only reason why? Because it's not going to get anywhere else.
That's the only reason why. I mean, I don't think any one performance was best of the year in that movie. So
I think they're okay with nominating movies like that. I mean,
yeah, they like nominating.
Well, kind of the only other movie, I mean, and then there's The French Dispatch, which has been doing really well with critics, but it's less of like an above the lines awards player than Budapest by miles. It's definitely more of a quantity over quality thing, but they've gone for stuff like that too.
I don't think they'll do that movie.
It's in my 10, but I'm not gonna be predicting it.
Tick Tick Boom, I kind of have my sights on, like maybe that gets in here.
I'm also thinking about that, but I mean, we're just keep like naming off Netflix movies at this point to an almost hilarious degree. But yeah, I think so too. The response to it's been pretty amazing. Obviously, Andrew Garfield has been the moment for the last few weeks. But those are also fleeting, people can't hold on to momentum that long in this era. So I think
the other one is Licorice Pizza is possible, but I think the performances around the 2 leads are a little bite size.
Little?
I mean, it's like one scene performances.
There are fewer films that could be called a 2-hander the way that this film is, even more than La La Land.
Yeah, so, I think that there are a lot of like notable 1-scene performances in it though. Like, whether it's like Benny Safdie and like that other guy at the end, and then there's like Bradley Cooper, obviously, Harriet Samson Harris,
who deserves her own award. She should be nominated in every category.
She's so good in that scene. Oh my god,
I love her so much. She's the reason why there needs to be like cameo categories at pretty much every single awards group. It has to happen. If you can have stunts, you can have a cameo category.
Yeah, it was upsetting how short that was, because that was like my favorite scene in the movie, probably.
It was. I wanted to deviate from what we were watching and watch her story.
Yeah, let's just pick up where we left off like later and just watch her more.
One day with her would have been a great movie.
Yeah. The other one I want to ask about is Dune. Like, what are the chances for Dune? Pretty slim.
It feels like it. It's crazy.
When it came out, it was like, maybe that could pick up some steam, but I don't think anyone's really strong in Dune, and Rebecca Ferguson hasn't been doing anything, so I wouldn't go out and predict that. I'm just curious if that was on your mind.
It's not that much on my mind, and yeah, I mean, people really tried to make Rebecca Ferguson happen. They tried so hard, and bless their hearts. But no, I think there's also something that we haven't talked about yet, and maybe very specifically that we haven't, and that's Nightmare Alley, which none of us have as a factor anywhere. And
I removed it.
It's like it's gone. I mean, I think Cate Blanchett has a better shot to get in for Don't Look Up than for Nightmare Alley.
Wow,
it's crazy. That's a movie that, again, early in the year, in early summer and pre-summer, that was my number one, and I was like, this is going all the way, and whatever, good on paper. And holy cow,
Amazing on paper. Couldn't get better on paper.
there are fewer things that have just like dropped like a rock than this movie.
I don't think people expected it to be so
boring.
I don't know if I want to say artsy.
Is it?
Like, some people would say boring, but I think I thought it was artsy, or like it was for a more niche, like adult grown-up audience than I would have expected. Like, it's not really trying that hard to entertain you.
Yeah, like,
and I'm actually surprised that a studio would take this kind of risk with a movie like this.
Considering it's a movie about a circus, its lack of entertainment is kind of shocking.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's the kind of movie where you're walking in, you walk in thinking you're getting one thing and you get something else. And I just don't think that goes very well for awards.
I don't know what people would think they're getting walking in. Like,
I don't know.
I like, after I watched the trailer, I was like,
well, something more
great, but also like, I don't know who this is like appealing to.
I don't know who the movie's for.
And then the box office performance was just beyond horrible.
Yeah.
Almost predictably in a way.
Speaking of abysmal drop-offs, In the Heights.
Wow.
At the least, like in the summer, we were thinking, that's got to get ensemble. That's got to be in contention for ensemble.
Yeah.
And not even, because it can't even get a Golden Globe nomination for comedy musical.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of weird considering how many musicals that we did have this year that we don't have any of them getting in to SAG.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I would still like to see In the Heights come up for ensemble, because I feel like that was just a really good example of a great ensemble.
It is a really good ensemble. I think there were better ensembles in musicals than that, though. I mean, as long as it's not Dear Evan Hansen, I'm fine. I'm fine. Anything else can happen, and I'll be okay with it. I think there might be some outliers here. Being the Ricardos could be Kidman and ensemble. Or
I think there's a lot of outliers.
And J.K. Simmons.
Or we're underestimating, and it's Simmons, Kidman, and ensemble. Absolutely possible.
And then I get PGA nominated.
The only one that's in my top 15. Well, there's House of Gucci, which is like
that's another. I mean, that's a big Oscar-y cast.
Yeah, and some of them don't really do very much. Kind of disappointing.
It's so funny how that one's not even on the map for me for ensemble. It could maybe happen, but
it's probably not in my 10, but it's close. It's certainly close.
It's not in our 10 either. It's in our 15.
But I know we talked about Mass earlier. It would be the longest of long shots, but it's also the kind of movie that a category like this is made for.
That would be incredible. I would definitely scream.
I think it has won the most awards from critics out of any movie.
Yeah,
which is great. I mean, it's hard to say that'll translate over to SAG voters, but I think the campaign seems like they've been targeting SAG like pretty intentionally. So I mean, they're trying. They're
Yeah, and it's Robert Altman Award at the Spirit Awards was probably one of the easiest things I've ever predicted this year. I mean, that just was you could just see it a mile away. It was right there. To its benefit and detriment. Because if you win that, you can't be nominated for any individual awards. And I think that somebody like Ann Dowd could have used that. She could use every single thing that she can get to build her profile up. And she deserves it.
If she was going to be in like getting nominated, I feel like she would have to be like the number 1 or number 2 awarded person. And it's not really happening.
No, it's not.
I don't know. I think she'd have to get a SAG nomination, or maybe, I don't know if I would care if BAFTA got it or not, for me to believe that she's getting into Oscar. I don't know.
If she were to get into BAFTA, then yes, I would predict her for the Oscar. That would be crazy.
Yeah, but like, the jury, like they could do like anything, and it's up to 10 people, and it may matter, may not matter.
Yeah, but we saw with their first year of this type of jury where they're going with picks, and it's not Mass.
Well, I feel like they were very kind of like critics groupy. Like they would nominate like a very acclaimed performance, like Paul Raci.
Sure, but
so-
the split was that, and then very homegrown talent that had no hopes of Oscar contention whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
All
agree with that.
rocks and all of that. It's which is actually great because it's kind of what BAFTA used to be. BAFTA used to be an interesting balance of those things, and that's a whole nother podcast. But still, it's we're looking at a year that is going to be very, I feel, very different of how precursors all work out. We know that, the Globes are certainly not going to have the type of impact that they normally have. Critics' Choice being way further out than they normally are. It's going to be a very different year. So I think
it'll be interesting to see if the push for Drive My Car registers too.
Mm-hmm. And even though
That's kind of like
Spider-Man.
And Spider-Man, yes.
Dare I say it?
Spider-Man.
I'm gonna say it.
People get so mad when
we
you
have
even
a whole
like
10 that we need to
yeah.
fill.
And we have one bona fide box office hit. What if Spider-Man's in here? What if Spider-Man is the SAG ensemble with spoiler alert, bringing back everybody that they brought back? Think about that. Think about that.
That I would freak out. I mean, that would be like a Bohemian Rhapsody revelation. Like, oh my God, it's getting Best Picture, and
it would be. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Just gonna say.
I'm gonna welcome it. Actually, I'm gonna welcome that.
Yeah.
That
no, it should be a PGA
but...
nominee. Yeah, but
sorry, I cursed in there. I know you're sponsored.
I curse all the time, but then I forget about that and go, oh wait a minute, am I not supposed to curse? I don't give a shit. All right. I think that might be it for SAG talk. I'm really curious to see what they do. I'm kind of hoping that we have a season that's really fractured and that isn't, even though I think Stewart is probably going to run, Smith is probably going to run them. I want to see something slightly different. And I think this year, because it's such a weird year, even more than last year, this is a much weirder year. I think that's where we could see it. I think there's potential for strangeness because there's so much less voting groups voting at the same time. I don't know. Something strange could happen.
Critics' Choice, like being so late now, is going to be kind of interesting.
Yeah,
they're usually the first, and they try to like get ahead of what's going to happen, and they'll be in the thick of it this time.
I mean, and also last year, I think it's worth pointing out that two of the movies that everybody thought were locks all year, One Night in Miami and Ma Rainey, like they got to the Oscars and they just didn't show up. And I know we have 10 nominees, so maybe that wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But I agree. Like right when it starts to look really safe and everyone's moving in lockstep, like you got to wonder if there's going to be that one movie like that pushes at the end and breaks through over one of these more safe contenders. And we have a lot of movies in here that are kind of weird that they're even in here in the first place.
Yeah.
And so you have to wonder like if they're riding a high right now, like a lot of them that just came out, Tick, Tick, Boom, and Don't Look Up. That's what I'm talking about there.
Exactly.
You have to wonder like what, how far is that wave going to go? It's big right now though.
Well,
so, I'm looking forward to it.
One interesting thing about SAG is that their voting period is so much longer than most other groups. It's a full month. They have a full month to vote on these nominations. And you have other groups that their like real voting period is like a week. So I think that's why we see some we see the Sarah Silvermans and the Naomi Watson St. Vincent type of nominations where it's like nobody saw it coming because they just had more time on their hands to be weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, thanks both of you guys for being on here. I think this is only our second time doing this together, and I really enjoy collaborating with you. Tell our listeners, who are a lot of mutuals, obviously, where they can find you guys.
They can find us at the Oscar Expert YouTube channel on youtube.com.
Yes. Please do.
Twitter.
No, just kidding.
And where on Twitter can they find each of you guys if you want to be found?
I would like to be found at hashtag you'll be found at expert_Oscar. And you are?
I'm with Brother Bro.
I love that name. That's always so funny.
Well, they didn't have Brother Bro, unfortunately.
I know.
It's not surprising though.
Yes. What would we be without Brother Bro? Again, thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you, Eric.
Bye.